I have been trying to get on the show since I was like a teenager. I think I started taking the online test when I was like 14 or so, and I never got anywhere into an audition until I applied for the National College Championship. Now, to apply, it was kind of like how everyone else can do it now. There was a college anytime test back in freshman year, my fall semester, and I decided to take it. Like, hey, what's the problem doing it? I see no issue. Maybe I'll actually get on the show this time. So what happens is that you do the anytime test, and it's a 50 question randomly selected clues from throughout the show's history, and you have about 15 or so seconds to submit a response. After you get through that, if you pass, then you would get back for a second test. Now, that didn't happen for me until about 4 or 5 months after I took the initial test. It wasn't until like January of 2021 where I was called back by a producer. I got an email saying to take another test. And it was kind of the same idea, another 50 question test with progressively more difficult clues from the show's history, except it was, the time limit to answer each one was half. I go through that, and then 2 weeks later, they're like, hey, we want to have a Zoom audition. And I was placed in a audition room with just a bunch of other people who had passed the second test and one of the producers. And we played a mock version of the game. They had like one of the producers say, all right, everybody have a pen, and then you're going to do one of these with it. You're going to click it. It wasn't until October of 2021 I got a call. I was working, and I hung up because I was in the middle of my shift. They called me 2 more times. Okay, I'm like, all right, if you're calling me more than once, it's probably important. I answer. A producer's like, hey, we want to select you as a contestant for the National College Championship. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. This is you're joking, right? And it took about 10 minutes of reassurance, and the producers finally got it through to me, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be on the show. And from that point, a month later, I studied up as much as I could, flew out to LA and filmed everything.
I know you've been doing like so much studying over the years, even since you've been trying to do this since you were in high school. So how do you actually go about studying and preparing for Jeopardy?
I was watching the show 4 or 5 times a day. I had a whole flashcard set of topics I wasn't as familiar with, and I would study that every single day. I was practicing with the pen in front of the TV to get the buzzer down. I would just go through random clues and be like, all right, hey, do I know this? Is this a topic that comes up frequently? So those kinds of things, if you get familiarized with them, makes your life a little easier.
When you're actually there, like in the flesh on the set, what's the whole production process like? And can you share any behind the scenes secrets with us?
From a production standpoint, the first couple of days were just for rehearsals and promotional stuff. The producers themselves and all the staff on the Jeopardy stage, and some of the ones from Wheel of Fortune as well, because they're right by each other on the studio side, they were all fantastic. Like, oh my God, they treated us like royalty. I felt really special being there because of the producers and because of Mayim and because of the stage managers. I also got to meet Johnny Gilbert, which is really cool. And still I am in shock, hearing him say my name and everything on the show itself, right? The whole process of filming an episode definitely takes a while. It took about, I'd say, an hour to an hour and a half for everything to get done. But this included a couple technical difficulties, and then as you saw in my game, there was a scoring change halfway through that the judges had to make a decision on, and that took a little bit to sort out.
Did the experience live up to your expectations, and what else surprised you about the whole thing?
And I would say the experience kind of exceeded my expectations because I didn't have to pay for any of my flights. I got to stay in an amazing hotel for like 3 or 4 days. Being in the studio, I think I was really nervous in the days coming up to my episode. I really wasn't sure what to expect. Like I was wondering like, oh man, we're going to be out in LA. It's serious show business. Like I was kind of worried that people are going to really be pushy and maybe a little condescending when it comes to getting things done, because they've got plenty of episodes to film. They all have their jobs to do. It's not like being on Jeopardy or having contestants on Jeopardy is particularly special for the people who work in the studio, because it's their daytime job to them. So I did have a worry coming in thinking that maybe it wouldn't be that great, but at least with how we were treated and how everything went, I mean, I was very impressed.
So that's all the questions that we have, but thank you so much for sharing your experience with us.